Now, though, we take you to India, where communities have reacted angrily to U.S. President Donald Trump's description of the air quality in the country as filthy. He made the comment during the latest U.S. election debate. This comes as Bihar state is holding its own election rallies ahead of state elections due to begin in 3 days' time. We get you more on this. We're joined by our India correspondent, Rebecca Bundhun. This reminds you of a time when Donald Trump called certain countries on the African continent as whole countries, and that also got people quite hot and bothered. What are people saying there?
Yes, that's right. So Donald Trump made this comment during the last election debate, describing India's air quality as filthy, as he defended the US decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. And a lot of people, of course, in India were quite insulted by this comment. And even Joe Biden actually said that this is not the way that you talk about friends, because India and the US, particularly India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Donald Trump, have enjoyed quite a very friendly relationship. But although a lot of people were insulted and took this as an insult, there were interestingly reactions where people were quite positive about this and said, well, actually, this is something that's true. India does have very poor air quality. It's got some of the most polluted cities in the world, and this is something that does need to be addressed in India. At the moment, for example, in Delhi and North India in particular, the air quality has been extremely bad. A lot of people have been complaining about breathing difficulties. Winter is setting in there now. That's when the air quality becomes worse. Also, we're going into the festive season when people let off fireworks and so on. And there's also crop stubble burning by the farmers in neighbouring states, which adds to the pollutants in the air. And actually, the levels in Delhi have been increasing in terms of pollution, and it's apparently about 12 times the safe limits set by the WHO at times. So that's a huge concern, and people are worried about the air quality, particularly with the coronavirus situation as well, because studies have revealed that that pollution actually makes things worse, that it can make the coronavirus infection more severe, and it can actually increase the death rate. So that's a big worry. Also, at this time of year, particularly in North India, people with asthma and so on, they develop conditions that sometimes actually require hospitalization, and that's a concern given that the coronavirus is already putting a burden on the healthcare facilities in India as well. So there was that reaction as well, particularly on social media, where people were saying, you know, India does need to do something about its pollution levels. So really people were mixed in terms of their reaction to the comments that were actually made by Trump when he referred to India's air as filthy.
Staying in Bihar, it is election season, and a number of people gathering at a rally, not wearing masks, not observing social distancing, increasing the risk of more infections there.
Yes, this is worrying. India today reported another 50,000, just over 50,000 new infections in the past 24 hours. Its total infections in terms of the coronavirus are now at 7.8 million confirmed cases. Those figures from the health ministry here. So the numbers are still very high. 50,000 is actually off peaks that India saw in September. But the worry is that now these numbers could spike as we go into the festive season, and with events taking place such as the assembly elections, which are now going on in Bihar. And those were very worrying images and visuals, where people were seen, thousands of people gathering in Bihar for these rallies that took place ahead of polling, which begins next week on the 28th of October. Thousands of people gathering, many of them not wearing masks, and there was absolutely no social distancing whatsoever. People very, very close to each other. other. And Bihar in North India is actually one of the most populous states in India. It's also one of the poorest states in the country as well. So its healthcare system is actually worse than many other parts of the country. And India is generally considered to have a weak public healthcare system, but in Bihar it's actually inferior to a lot of other parts of the country. So that's a real concern. And this comes despite warnings by Narendra Modi, India's Prime Minister, that people should be very, very careful now as India heads into this these elections and into the festive season as well, when people will gather. He said that there shouldn't be this carelessness that, India has made progress, but there shouldn't be, people should continue to observe social distancing. They should still be wearing masks. And actually, the ruling BJP party has promised Bihar that if it comes back to power with its coalition, it will actually give free vaccinations, COVID-19 vaccinations, when that emerges to the state. So it's also been criticised for using the coronavirus as a political tool as well. But certainly there are big concerns that as we do go into this festive season and as we see events like this taking place for the elections, that these numbers could spike again in terms of India's COVID-19 infections that have been on a bit of decline on a daily basis. But health experts say they could suddenly surge as well in the next couple of months or so.
Our India correspondent, Rebecca Bundhun, thank you.